It's very much been established just what happened with Charles Leclerc in the final stint at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which saw him lose 42 seconds in 29 laps to eventual race winner Lando Norris. But one aspect which was very much overlooked and needs to be addressed is an explanation behind just why increasing the tyre pressures actually made the car go that much slower, seconds a lap slower than they actually internally calculated to be the case. So for a quick refresher, because it's been a couple of weeks now since the Hungarian Grand Prix, here's a recap of everything that happened in the race between Charles Leclerc and his race engineer. So from lap 9 onwards, he was making not only engine changes and car changes, but also driving style changes to cope with the issue of plank wear, which suddenly reappeared during the race. Now for lap 9, we know for a fact Bozzi, his race engineer, instructs Leclerc to change some settings on his car, and this is to do with how much RPM, how much torque is coming out of the engine at the end of the back straight. Now this was done to make sure that the kind of bouncing of the plank at the top end of the speed limit was suffering less as a result of the lower RPM. Now, a little bit further into the race, we also hear and find out Charles Leclerc has been asked to manage a certain corner, the fastest corner on the Hungarian, which is of course turn 12. And he was instructed specifically to stay off the curb, once again to limit the plank wear issue, which was becoming more and more of a problem. And of course we have all of the radio messages which are very much cryptic between Charles Leclerc and his engineer, which were broadcast on the main feed across the world.
This is so incredibly frustrating. We've lost all competitiveness. You just have to listen to me. I would have found a different way of managing those issues. Now it's just undrivable. It's a miracle if we finish on the podium.
And of course we have the increase in tyre pressures, dramatically so, for the second and final stop in the race. So that is the timeline within the race of everything that happened. Now I can cover and explain to you all why it was that these increased levels of tyre pressures, both at the front and rear of the SF-25, mattered so dramatically. And it all revolves around one very important aspect, which kind of was overlooked through all the articles and explanations. And that is the car setup Ferrari chose to go with for the race before they started it. Now, as we all know, everything in terms of calculations from fuel loads, suspension settings, ride heights, engine modes, everything is calculated prior to the race, and it revolves around the conditions you expect to have and experience within that race, and this encompasses track temperature, ambient temperature, the wind directions, and so on and so forth. So one of those major aspects that is critical to this is of course your tyre pressures, and the contact patch having your tyres at a certain pressure level in terms of PSI is of importance. Now before we go any further, if you're enjoying the content here within this video, do hit the subscribe button down below and turn on notifications, such as videos like this, as well as technical breakdowns and unravelings of hidden changes to the cars. Right, let's get back on with the video. Now, why do tyre pressures and contact patches actually matter so dramatically? Well, it's for a multitude of reasons, and I have the perfect visual diagram and explanation to give to you all. So if we look on the screen right now, here is a random road tyre at various tyre pressure levels. Now, as you can see, the contact patch, which is where the tyre meets the track surface, it gradually decreases with the upping of tyre pressures, and vice versa. Less tyre pressure equals more contact patch, and this of course is the area through which performance and grip of the tyres comes from. Now initially for the Hungarian Grand Prix, the front and rear tyre pressures were set at 22 for the front and 26.5 for the rears. Now ahead of the race, as a result of everything that unfolded on Friday and Saturday, Pirelli upped these for Sunday. Now these were increased to 24 at the front to 27.5. Quite a dramatic change. And of course, that is just the starting level that all the teams were at. And we haven't even considered the fact Ferrari went and continually increased the tyre pressures at every round of pit stops. So in Ferrari's case, as we know, the starting tyre pressures for the race was 24 for the front and 27.5 for the rear. So already the contact patch has dramatically decreased from where it started the weekend at. So that means less contact patch, less optimized grip, or less optimum grip from the tyres themselves. Now, within that, of course, Ferrari have to set up the SF-25s around that. So ride height, suspension settings, all of these things are based around your tyre pressures and the calculations you make around maybe increases in tyre pressures for the race. Now, as we know, at the bare minimum, Ferrari increased the tyre pressures for 1.5 psi for the first stop. What is not clear is how much more they dramatically increased tyre pressures for that second and final stop. And I would suspect with the massive drop off in terms of lap times, going well over a second slower than the other competitors in Charles Leclerc's vicinity, it would have been more than that 1.5 psi. So with this diagram, you can see if it's around the 30 psi mark, that contact patch has grown ever smaller. And so all of the calculations Ferrari made in terms of setup, ride height setups, suspension settings, they have gone completely out the window now because they're not optimized around this tire pressure. And that is where this dramatic issue came from. Everything is now not working in tandem as the way you've set it all up to begin the race from, because you had these unexpected problems with regards to plank wear. And that is the key aspect and the key reason behind why everything fell apart so dramatically for Leclerc and Ferrari in that final stint on the hard compound tyre. And of course, another factor to put into this is the fact that they went from mediums to hard compound tyres, a tyre which of course is very much understood to be harder to bring into its working operating window in terms of tyre temperatures. So all of these kind of external factors, from the increase in tyre pressures to the way the car was set up to how much more kind of load and force has to be applied to get the temperatures in the right working window, really culminated in what we saw unravel in that second and final stint. And that explains the dramatic drop off for Leclerc with regards to his race pace in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Alright everyone, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Hope you've all enjoyed it and it's been very informative to you and you've learnt something today. If you've enjoyed the video, do hit the like button down below. And of course, if you're new here on F1 Unraveled, consider hitting the subscribe button and turning on notifications for all future content. Alright everyone, enjoy the weekend and I will catch you all later next week with some more content. See you then.